Okay, we're looking at rational expressions and we're multiplying two rational expressions. And we're asked to state the product in simplest form. So what we're going to do, we're going to simplify, we're going to factor these and see if we can cancel anything, if we have anything that we'll be able to cancel. So we also know x can't be 2, -4, or -5, and 4. And you'll see why here. And that happens to be if you plug in, where do we get 0 here? Or what happens, what will give us 0 here and what will give us 0 here. So let's factor these. So if I factor the x squared plus 3x minus 10. Okay. So we know the first term, since this is just a coefficient of 1, we know it's got to be x and x. And since this is a minus, that means I have to have a negative and a positive. Then I look at this 10, and I look at what are some pairs that will give me 10. Well, 1 times 10, and 2 times 5. And those are the two possible ways that I can get a 10. And I want to know, then I want to look at which one of these might add or subtract to give me a 3, a positive 3. Well, if I had a -2 and a positive 5, if I add those, I get a positive 3. If I multiply those, I get a -10, which is what I want. So a positive 5 and a negative, there's my -2. Okay. And you can always check these by foiling to see if you get what we started with. So that's going to replace this here. So I'm going to have x minus 2 times x plus 5 over, and let's just go ahead and put these there. Now let's factor this x squared plus 9 plus 20. Okay, so x squared plus 9x plus 20. And if I factor that, again, this is a coefficient of 1, so it's got to be x and x. This is a positive, so that means these two signs have to be the same. And since the middle sign is positive, these both have to be a plus. Then we look at that last term, and that's 20. And I want a positive 20, so 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. And again, these are all the pairs I can multiply and get 20. And since it's a positive 20, it could be negative, negative, but positive, positive. We already know both our signs have to be positive. And then which set of these could possibly give me a 9? Well, that would be 4 and 5. So I put 4 and 5. So I have x plus 4 and x plus 5. Okay, now let's factor this x squared plus 3x minus 4. And again, it's a trinomial. We're going to factor into two binomials, x and x. This is a negative, so I have to have a negative and a positive for my signs, because remember, they multiply to give me this sign, and then they add to give me here. So I'm going to look at a 4. And again, we would be looking at a plus minus 1 times plus minus 4, or a plus minus 2 times a plus minus 2. And which one of these could possibly give me a positive 3? Well, that would be a -1 plus 4. And again, these would multiply and give me -4. But if I add them, I get 3, which is what I'm looking for. So I have x minus 1, x plus 4. And then last but not least, we're going to do this x squared minus 6x plus 8. X squared minus 6x plus 8, and we'll do our two sets of parentheses because it is a trinomial we're factoring. x and x. This is a plus, so these two have to be the same, and since the middle term's a negative, that means these both will have to be negative. Then I look at this 8, and what are some factor pairs to give me an 8? 1 times 8, and again, that could be a plus minus, because the two negatives would give me a positive 8. And then 2, again, plus minus, times 4. And I would look which one of these could possibly give me a 6 if I add them. Well, that would be this, it would be a negative 2 and a negative 4 would give me a negative 6 if I add them, and then if I multiply the two negatives, I get a positive 8. X minus 2 times x minus 4. So we've just factored that. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and cancel where we can. So I have x minus 2 will cancel with this. And since this is multiplication, everything's now multiplication. No more plus or minus. It's this quantity times this quantity. So we can cancel these. X plus 5 and then x plus 4. So all of that cancels out. And what am I left with? Well, it looks like I'm left with x minus 1 over x minus 4. And that would be as simple as I could get those rational expressions.